Welcome to a continuation of this series on some of the most beautiful moves ever played in chess. And you can see I've just got this lovely template above me, ginger analysis, etc. And I'm going to look at some of my, some moves that I enjoyed. Now in this one I'm going to be a little bit vain. Has to happen occasionally. You've got to feel good about yourself now and again, haven't you? And this is a game that I had. It was played in 2004 in a rapid play competition in Halifax, and my opponent was another English player, Christopher Dorrington, and it involved a very interesting tactic. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to go through the opening pretty damn quick, get to the position, and then I'm going to ask you to pause the video and see if you can spot the move, the correct continuation. So it's a little bit of an interactive lesson as well for you to see how you get on, see if you can get that brain ticking over, that tactical brain. So let's move on with the game. So this was in the days where I used to love playing the dragon, and the dragon is an opening where you meet e4 with c5. So it's a Sicilian, and we quite quickly get into a main line dragon. So this is now an open Sicilian, and the dragon is where black fianchettos on the king side. And this is a very aggressive way of playing. You attack the center, you get very sharp positions. It's been favoured by players like Tony Miles, Korchnoi, nowadays Gwaine Jones. Very interesting and exciting positions you get. On the white side, Bobby Fischer was a major fan of playing the system we're going to see here, Kasparov and other great attacking players. So let's get to the main kind of line position. My opponent played the sharpest move, the Yugoslav attack, with bishop to e3, and this has got what I call the caveman approach. No messing about. This is one idea really. Queen d2, f3, bishop h6, h4, h5, take on g6, take the bishop on g7, queen to h6 check, queen takes h7 checkmate. Thank you very much. That was easy peasy. And that's the kind of stuff that Bobby Fischer used to do to a number of his opponents. So you'll see this happen in a lot of games, especially at club level, and it's something that black has to watch out for. Where is black's counterplay? Well, I would say black's counterplay is really on the queen side, and often in the dragon you want to play the move d5, so you have a lot of these ideas. So okay, let's get on, because this has all been seen before. d6, here it comes, queen d2, knight to f6. I'm now maybe going to play knight to g4, so my opponent stops that move. It should be noted that bishop h6 is a typical mistake in this type of position. It's a little bit early here. Maybe you can see the tactic, pretty straightforward. Knight takes e4, and this is advantageous for black here, because okay, you can look at the tactics yourself at home, but that's a known mistake, so white has to be a little bit careful until he plays this move. So f3 played, stopping knight g4, guarding e4, bishop d7, and this is the old line. Nowadays black tends to favour castling kingside when white has two main options, either bishop c4 or castles. These are the two main moves. Bobby Fischer preferred bishop c4, but a lot of players have also castled here, and now black plays d5. And to be honest, this is so heavily analysed now. I try to avoid this kind of stuff because I don't want to spend my whole life reading chess books and analysing the latest theory. It can get a little bit boring, so that's why I don't play the mainline dragon as much. But bishop d7 is a very interesting line. Try to avoid castling and to try to get counterplay on the c file as quickly as possible. This is an old variation. White now castles queenside, and now rook c8. So you get a very double-edged position. King b1, and now we see a typical idea for the Sicilian. In a lot of Sicilians, this next maneuver is a key idea. Well worth remembering. Little horsey to e5, knight to e5. I shouldn't say horsey. If there's any kids watching this, it will give you a bad name for the piece. It is a knight, not a horsey. Don't say horsey. Only GMs are allowed to say horsey, but they don't, only me. And this is the typical idea. The knight is trying to lodge itself into c4, and with a combination of the rook guarding that square as well, this is a nice little idea. But this is still all theory. g4 now played, and here, well, I've got to really castle at some point. I'm sort of entering into the lion's den here. I'm really asking for it. It's basically saying, spank me, come on, hit me over here on the king side, I'm ready. I don't like being spanked too much, but I like, you know, maybe doing the spanking to my opponent. Enough spanking, but I like doing the attacking. And this is a very double-edged line. I think it's a bit dubious. And my opponent comes straight for me with the move h4. And here his plan is again h5, bishop h6, and just to try to attack me like this and checkmate me on the h-file. So very simple play. So I have to be quick. So b5, trying to spank him on the b file. Barry the b pawn comes running up the board. And the idea now, normally when you're attacking at opposite sides, the first person to lose a tempo can get himself in trouble, and the first person to get greedy can get himself in trouble. So if white takes on b5 here, black can play rook to b8, and the idea is to eventually line up against b2, and black gets the first attack in. So my opponent did not bother doing this, and there's a good bit of advice there. If you can attack, attack, and this is what he did. h5 coming for me. Now, a lot of my ideas are very slow here. If I don't do anything, he will get his attacking first, because he's clearly ahead on the spank race, and we don't want our opponent to spank us, do we now? So I have to do something quite drastic, and here I take on f3, gaining a number of pawns, trying to destroy his kingside for initiative. And this was a well-known idea. My opponent has to take, and now bishop takes g4, attacking his knight. My opponent defends his knight, bishop to e2, guarding that knight, and now b4. And the point of this variation is to try to dislodge the knight on c3, so I can play knight takes e4 and get the initiative first, but it is unsound. Knight to d5 played, and now knight takes e4, and here the main refutation of this is queen takes b4. Very complex, but since computers have been introduced to the chess world, this is known to be good for white. I first had this against Sakis, a player originally, I believe, from Israel, and I had it in the Isle of Man Congress, and afterwards I was analysing with it, and he played a perfect game, beat me very well with the following variation. It went something like rook to b8, queen takes e4, rook takes b2, chaotic I know, king to c1, bishop to f5, and now he played the beautiful queen sack, and he played h6, and this ended up being very good for him. Something very similar to this, very complex game. But after the game, he took a lot of time on these moves, and I mentioned, oh, you spent a lot of time there, and he said, yeah, I used to be Garry Kasparov's second. And I just tried to remember what me and Gary were looking at. Me and Gary looked at this line and we decided it's winning for white. So I tried to remember. I remember, and then I beat you. I beat you. Okay, he maybe didn't go that far, but you get the idea. So queen takes b4, refutation. Let's get to the interactive moment though. Queen to e1 played. And now I went e6. He went knight to f4. Queen to h4 was a better move. And now I went queen to a5, bringing in more firepower. My opponent went knight to d4, trying to block my bishop on g7. I went bishop to f5, trying to line another piece up against his king. My opponent now went knight to b3. And here it is time to pause the video. You have the first question. Well, maybe don't pause it yet. I will say pause now, and then you pause, and I'll give the answer. Black to play, black to win. And I have to say, when I saw this move, I was like, wow, is that actually possible? Oh my giddy god, that might be possible. And it's like one of those moments when, you know, you go on holiday and you suddenly think, oh my god, I might have left the stove on. My house might have burnt down, but in a positive way. So it's like, did I just win the lottery? Oh wow, I can get myself a nice new car. It's like, wow, you kind of see an idea and you think that just looks beautiful. And it's a combination of things here that make this idea work. Well, look at my pieces. All of my pieces are quite beautifully placed against his king on b1. There's a lot of pieces lined up against that king. So, okay, try to find the move for black, analyse it as well as you can. And when afterwards I will tell you a solution, but please pause now. So did you see the move? Well, it's time for violence, and the best move here is crash, bang, wallop, rook takes c2. Kabang! And this move opens up my bishop on f5, gets a piece into the attack, and creates an astonishing checkmate position. My opponent has two choices, either king takes rook or knight takes queen. My opponent tried knight takes a5 in the game, and again in a second I'll ask you to pause the video yet again because I want you to find the quickest and cleanest win here. If you haven't seen it already, then I'll go through the win. So please try to find the checkmate now. It is checkmate by force. Pause the video now. Well, all you need to do here is open up your bishop and f5 with power, and the beautiful way to win, there might be more than one way, but the beautiful way to win, you can discuss the other ways in the chat, knight to Derek to check, giving up another piece. And whatever white takes this piece with, my opponent decided to take with a queen. Maybe you can see the checkmate now. If you can't, pause the video. The checkmate, even though I'm a queen and a knight down, is rook takes b2, double check, and I call this the whirlwind, you know, the whirlwind checkmate. And wherever the king moves to now, if the king moves to a1 or to c1, my next move is the same. King to c1, rook to b1, checkmate. And if king to a1, again we see this beautiful kind of whirlwind, these bishops unleashing their balls on the white king, cannons on the ball, should I not say bishops, I meant cannons, of course I meant cannons, firing their balls onto the white king, of course I didn't mean anything else. And that is a case of checkmate, and that's quite a pretty checkmate, so well done if you saw that checkmate there. And the same goes with king to c1, so this knight to d2 check is a very powerful move here. Now, what would have happened if my opponent had played king takes c2? Well, actually, the best move here, and this is why this puzzle came to mind. If you remember the game Bruzon versus Wei Yi, which I recommend you go to my video and take a look at, it's the same technique in this game, which was used in that game. First, Wei Yi took on a square with his rook, and then he moved the king out. As soon as the king came out, the queen came into this same square, and now the king hunt starts. And here it's clear to see white cannot defend. The rook is coming to c8 with check. This is the simple next move, and I have very dangerous discovered checks with my knight, so it's very basically game over. For example, like let's say bishop d4, simply rook to c8 check, and the white king is not going to survive. Far too naked, this king. It is basically, this is like, you know, a naturist in central London. He suddenly realised he hasn't got any clothes on. Oh dear, very embarrassing. Time to go back to my nature reserve. So that was that game. Obviously quite happy to pull that one off. It's a rare occurrence nowadays that anything like that happens in my games. But interesting opening. This dragon, this particular line, I think it is busted now, so I don't recommend you play it, but may be good as a surprise weapon. Hope you enjoyed that video. Please like, please subscribe, please let other people know, and check out my website GingerGM.com. I've even got this game on my DVD on the dragon there, which you can now download. You can download and get the package of the DVD. Very good price, 6 hours for the DVDs. Go there, check it out, and thanks for your support here. I'll come back with another video very shortly. Cheers for now.